Queensberry, Top Rank, Golden Boy, Boxer, Salida Promotions, and MF Pro. The partnership kicks off with a terrific welterweight world championship showdown as former two-division world champion Teofimo Lopez challenges reigning WBA welterweight champion Rolly Romero on August 22nd at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, live on DAZN and Prime Video. Welcome everybody, I'm Chris Mannix, part of the DAZN broadcast team, and excited to be here for this big announcement that will see another of boxing's big promoters link up with DAZN, which over the last few years has earned the right to be called the global home of boxing. For more than a decade, PBC has been home to some of the biggest stars in US boxing with names like Garcia, Spence, Charlie, and today, it will officially bring to DAZN its stable of championship fighters, several of whom are joining us here on the stage today. With most of the major promoters now working with one network, the opportunity to make the biggest and best fights has never been more achievable. I know that is something that is welcome to all boxing fans that are out there. So what's behind this deal? What went into this deal? I want to welcome in Britton Harden, head of boxing in North America, who has been instrumental in this process. And Britton, it just feels like you're assembling promoter Voltron out there, bringing all these promoters together, and PBC, maybe the last big piece of the puzzle.
My man. Thank you for the introduction, Chris. To your point, we've been very intentional about that. We want to serve outsized value to the boxing audience. We've been working very diligently to do that at DAZN. And I personally am just very excited about today to be able to announce a partnership between DAZN and Premier Boxing Champions, one of the outstanding, stellar promotions of modern day boxing. It really shows what we're trying to do at DAZN. And to your point, that's bringing the best fights, the best fighters, and the biggest fight nights under one platform so that the audience can be super served. I mean, when you just look at the outstanding talent that shared the stage with us today, it gives you just a small glimpse into the roster over at PBC. And what excites someone like myself, who's been a boxing fan my entire life, is to be able to make some of those matchups. Louis DeCubas, who's in the audience here, and I have been diligently working, trying to put some fight cards together, which we'll talk about, but the audience has no idea the exciting nights that are ahead of them, and that makes me very proud.
So what details can you tell us about this deal? We've seen DAZN link up with Top Rank, with Boxer, already has the deals with Matchroom, with Golden Boy. Is it a similar type of deal between DAZN and PBC?
I can share that it's a multi-fight deal. It's very exciting. And at DAZN, myself and the leadership really feel like this fulfills on the promise of everything that boxing can be when there are no more sides of the streets. And everyone is walking in the same direction with the same directive and energy to super serve the audience of boxing, not be, self-contained, but to really serve the ultimate pay-per-view subscriber their value for what they're paying for.
So you are a boxing fan at heart. You see a lot of talent up here on this stage. Have you started to think about some of the matchups that you might like to try to make over the next 6 months?
Oh yeah.
Give me the number one matchup on your list.
I'll give you some fantasy fights that I'd love to see. I'll give you two, and they involve two of the fighters who have been invited today. There's a young man who's sitting at the other table who holds a WBC belt at 154 pounds, and we just saw Jerron Boots Ennis perform at the Barclays Center in outstanding fashion. I would love to see that fight, and I believe that both fighters are game and up for it. So who knows? And there's another young man, Brandon Figueroa, who competes at 126 pounds, and I had a conversation with another fighter in that weight class who fought last week, who's very interested in unifying. So those are the kind of fights that we need to bring to boxing. Those are the kind of fights that the audience wants to see, and that is what I look forward to, bringing in this partnership.
Does his name rhyme with Harrington?
Correct.
Okay. All right, we're going to get to these fighters, see if they're interested in those types of matchups. Tom Brown, TGB Promotions, you've been putting on a lot of big fights for a long time now. You're bringing this stable over to DAZN. How are you feeling about this union between PBC and DAZN?
You know, we're very excited. First of all, you missed one thing, Chris. We actually opened July 25th from Australia with Earl Spence Jr. taking on Tim Zhu on DAZN and PBC pay-per-view. I want to say good afternoon and welcome to everyone. First of all, I really want to thank everyone that was involved in making this deal happen. One thing you find out about DAZN immediately is that they want they demand the absolute best product on their platform. And that's what we're here for. So it's a very exciting day. DAZN truly is the global home of boxing. Recently, they've had the biggest and best fights on DAZN. They've got a hell of a schedule lined up already for the rest of the year. They're adding more fights to that still. We'll be implementing these 4 great champions up here into that schedule shortly. So, with today's kickoff, DAZN's really picking it up a notch. And this new relationship with PBC is going to really be something special. This partnership will provide unbelievable opportunities for all of our fighters. We have the deepest roster of champions and fighters. And now, like you said, there'll be a pathway to making the biggest fights, the best night fights possible. So we're really excited. I can't wait to get to work with everyone, with Britton and Jared and everyone. We'll put up with you also, Maddox. And you know, the fans win big here. It's a big win for the fans. And like I said, we're very excited.
Shots fired early on. Jeez, what did I do to you? Friend of the podcast. Good there. You have put together some great fights, and you said you mentioned kind of already thinking about kind of what big fights you want to make. When you have these conversations with Britton, with DAZN, what is going to be top of your agenda to make over the next 6 to 8 months?
You know, it's going to be one of the hard things with us coming out and talking to PBC for the last 12 years. We keep things very close to the vest, and we get the fights made, and then we announce them. But you know, we've got these 4 champions up here who'll be in the schedule in the next 60 days. And, you know, 3 of them up here are all fighting their mandatories. And Brandon will be fighting Tomoka Kameda, who's the number 3 ranked contender in the WBA and is a former world champion. I let that one out of the bag, but we'll get to the rest of them later.
I've got a few. I was given some names there. I'm going to spoil a few of them out there.
What's that?
I've got a few names. I'm going to spoil a couple.
I know.
It's this press conference.
They're coming, but you know, we got some mandatories we got to take care of first. And you look at these mandatories, sometimes people poo-poo them, but Brandon Figueroa wouldn't be sitting here right now with that WBA strap if the WBA didn't force Nick Paul, the longest reigning UK champion at the time, to fight as mandatory. So, you know, those things work both ways.
All right, appreciate it, Tom. We'll start here with Sebastian Pandora. I think a lot of people are wondering what's on your mind in this new deal. Let's start with that first fight. You are planning to defend your WBC super welterweight title against Ermal Hadravaj. That is your mandatory challenger with the WBC at 154. I know you're familiar with DAZN. Your sister Gabriella has been fighting with DAZN for years. How are you feeling about this new partnership?
It's good, you know, I feel like PBC was the last missing piece for DAZN, like you said. So to have us now on that platform as well, I mean, the other champions are for 154 are on DAZN as well, so like, let's make the undisputed champion already, right?
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. The other title holders, Boots Ennis, Josh Kelly, they're fighting on DAZN. You've got Virgil Ortiz, a big name at 154. He's fighting on DAZN. Do you feel like these fights for you are closer maybe than they've ever been before?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I did a couple interviews earlier, and they were talking about would you want to fight these guys, and I feel like now is the most realistic. You know, you're gonna see me fight later on this year. You're gonna see Virgil fight again later on this year, Ennis, Kelly, all these guys fight again, and you're gonna question, why are these guys fighting each other? Well, now they fight on the same thing. So I mean, like, let's make it happen, huh?
All right, so if you could choose one at the start of 2027, who would it be?
Oh, there's a name calling me out right now, so I think Ennis would be the first one for sure.
So what did you think of Boots, his performance against Xander Zayas?
It was good. It was a good performance. You know, he did his thing. I mean, Zayas did his thing too. We saw. I didn't watch the whole fight. I saw the highlights of the 3rd round. I saw the stoppage. But I'm pretty sure that's the key points of the fight, right? But, I saw some questionable things in the third round, the fans got what they wanted, right? It's exciting, no?
So let's talk about that third round for a moment. Xander Zayas landed some punches. Did you start to think of what would happen if you landed those same shots?
Absolutely, absolutely. And Zayas isn't a pressure fighter. Zayas isn't trained that way. Zayas is a box pretty, do his thing, and make it his rhythm type of fighter, which Boots is kind of is, but Boots had more of that work rate, I guess, in that fight, more of that guts type of feeling in that fight. So, he made it his.
All right, well, I think we all want to see that fight happen early next year for sure with you and Boots Ennis. Brandon Figueroa, you went over to the UK, had a spectacular performance, knocked out Nick Wall, won your title the right way, the hard way, getting the stoppage win. You're going to face Tomoki Kameda in your next fight, a former world champion. But I stumbled on this stat last week. There has not been a unified champion at 126 in 16 years. There has not been an undisputed champion at 126 in nearly 60 years. There has never been an undisputed four-belt champion at 126. Do you believe you're the man that can make that happen?
Of course, with this partnership, anything is possible. I'm very confident with my team here in LA, and I'm here to set up the big fights, and I'm just very excited. I'm very confident. I went to the UK, and I did my thing, brought back the belt, and let's unify these belts.
What do you think you showed people with that performance in February?
Great. I'm a different type of caliber of fighter. I come to fight, and like my coach Manny said, I leave no stone unturned. So I go out there and I do my best, and I bring exciting fights to whoever loves boxing, and I just love fighting. I love fighting. So I feel like there's not a lot of fighters that come to fight like me, old school fighters, traditional fighters, and I feel like there's a very selected few now in this generation.
You heard Britton say high on his list is a unification fight with you and Shushu Carrington. Very makeable fight right now. I asked Sebastian what he thought of Boots. What did you think of Shushu's performance last weekend?
Honestly, I didn't see the fight. I've been training, focused on Tomoki. But I know that fight will eventually, pop up. But as of right now, I'm focused on what's in front of me. And yeah, I know that fight will happen, and I'll be ready for it.
Do you think you deserve to be called number one at 126 pounds?
It depends on whoever's looking at the rankings, but I definitely come to fight. That's all I know. I come to fight, and I come to make exciting fights. I bring the heat, that Texas heat, and I'm not going anywhere.
All right, appreciate it, Brandon. Glad to have you back. Looking forward to seeing you up against Kameda this fall. Jesus Ramos, one of the most entertaining guys in boxing, regardless of what weight class that you fight in. 24 wins, 19 of them coming by knockout, just one defeat, a debatable decision against Erickson Lubin a couple of years before. The middleweight division right now, it feels like it's never been more wide open. Do you see this as your opportunity to make a move in it?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I want to thank PBC, Heyman, and DAZN, for making it happen, making this partnership happen. Like you said, it's going to open a lot more doors, especially in the middleweight division. Even guys at 154, they got to move up to 160 eventually, and we'll be here waiting for them.
You got to defend your interim title against Miriam Nursultanov. That's going to happen in the fall. How are you feeling about that fight?
I'm excited. I'm excited to be back in the ring as a champion now. It does bring a new wave of confidence, and we've been improving a lot of things in the gym, my father and I. So I'm excited to showcase all of that, and just excited to step into the ring as a world champion now.
There are a few other title holders that are out there. There's also Carlos Adames, who's got the full version of the WBC title. We saw him pick up a big win recently over Amber Williams. Where does that fight rank on your list?
If it were up to me, it would be me versus Adames next. I want that fight. I really, really want it, and I hope it's next.
Do you think he wants that fight?
I can't speak for him, but I hope he wants it, and I hope we can make it happen next.
So you want that Adames fight, but what would you say is your dream fight at 160 pounds?
That's a good question. I think me versus like a Virgil Ortiz down the line, once he's ready to move to 160. Right now, it's like you said, it's not a lot of big names in the division, so we kind of have to wait. But me versus Virgil Ortiz, I think it's a big fight at 160. Hopefully to make in the near future.
Hey, look, that's makeable now. Makeable fight now. I love it. Looking forward to seeing. Hopefully that fight happen and many more for you over the next year or so. Jose Salas Reyes, 118-pound champion here today. 118 got a little bit more interesting with Bam Rodriguez moving up into that weight class. How do you feel now being in a weight class with Bam and fighting on the same network that he's fighting on?
Bien, la verdad que me siento contento, digo, es un gran honor estar como campeón ahorita, ya Bam subió a las 118 y pues se puede presentar la oportunidad para pelear con él y claro que sería una gran oportunidad.
Thanks to first of all, I want to thank PBC for doing this, and honestly, I'm very excited because, as you said, the division got very interesting with Bam Rodriguez in 118. So if in some point I can fight with him, I believe that it's going to be a very interesting fight for me and for him.
You're going to defend your title against Michael Angeletti in your next fight, fulfill your mandatory, but if Bam is not moving on from 118, do you believe you deserve a fight against him? How do you think a fight against Bam would go?
Todo va a quedar, depende de lo que diga la FIB, cómo lo ordene y pues claro, si en todo caso se presenta la oportunidad con Bam Rodríguez, pues estoy preparado para tomar la pelea y pues claro, es una pelea que sería la más importante de mi carrera.
Well, of course, we depend on the rules sometimes of the IBF. It's in some point we have to fight the mandatory fight with Angeletti, but at some point we need to cross with Bam Bam. Obviously, it's going to be a huge fight, and I'm ready. I'm ready for that kind of fight.
All right, looking forward to seeing you, Jose. Appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing all you guys up here back in the fall. As Tom mentioned, July 25th, Errol Spence against Tim Zhu, DAZN and Prime Video. And August 27th, two guys going to be up here on stage in just moments. Teofimo Lopez challenging Rolly Romero for the WBA 147-pound title. And of course, we've got July 18th coming up, Diego Pacheco back in action against Emmanuel Ali. I'm going to pose these guys for some photos. We'll be back with the main event press conference in just a couple of minutes.